Well, hello to all my loyal cinephiles out there. Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to yet another Oscar Hopefuls edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza, Part 4. Mhm. Yep, that's right, you heard me. This is the fourth and final part of my four-part Oscar Hopefuls movie review video series. In this series, I have been reviewing movies that have had the most potential of being nominated for Oscars come 2018. And as you all know, the Oscar nominations have already come out. And I'm really happy to say that the final two movies that I will review for you have both been nominated for many Oscars. And those films are Phantom Thread and Call Me By Your Name. Mm-hmm. The first Oscar nominated film that I will review for you is Phantom Thread, rated R. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky Krieps, Leslie Manville, and was directed by the great Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson, as you know, has brought such classic films as Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, and The Master. Mm-hmm. Now, Phantom Thread is set in London in the 1950s. Our main character is famed couture fashion designer Reynolds Woodcock, played handsomely by Daniel Day-Lewis. He has his fashion house in London. His sister Cyril, played by Leslie Manville, she runs the day-to-day operations of his fashion house, and he has his team of seamstresses, and he has his mannequin where he makes all his creations. And you find out pretty quickly that Reynolds is a very regimented guy. He's charismatic and very talented, but he's also obsessive and has a controlling personality. He has his daily routines and his schedule that he sticks to, and he does not like to deviate from that. I mean, I can relate to that. I'm autistic myself, so I mean, I love sticking to my daily routines and to a schedule. I mean, I don't like huge surprises. And it all goes well for a while, and then one day while he's visiting the countryside, Reynolds goes into a restaurant, and he's immediately infatuated by his waitress named Alma, played by Vicky Krieps. And she too feels something for him, and he immediately asks her out on a date, and she's like, sure, why not? She actually just says yes, but you get the idea. And pretty soon a romance blossoms between them, and he finds he's not just attracted to her, he's also greatly inspired by her to make even more beautiful couture gowns. And so he invites her to come work for him in his fashion house, and she's all, yes, like, sure, why not? And she, for a while it goes great. She is inspired by his creativity and, how he works. But she finds immediately that he's a difficult man to please. And also, sometimes he ignores her when she's doing, like, working as a seamstress for him. And she's wondering, what am I, chopped liver here? And they find they bicker constantly because their personalities clash so much. And it all comes to a head in the movie when she tries to surprise him with a romantic dinner. And he immediately rebuffs her. And he's angry for three reasons. One, he does not like unexpected surprises, which is kind of funny because isn't the whole point of a surprise is that it's unexpected? Figure that one out. And two, he likes his meals prepared a certain way, and the meal she made does not measure up to his standards, and she's offended by that. And the last thing is, he does not tolerate any deviations from his daily routines, that he's perfected so well. And, she finds, that's the main theme of the whole movie they're trying to make is that despite, loving someone, can your relationship last if your personalities and your, differences, clash so violently? I mean, can love truly conquer all? I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end of the movie. You have to see it to understand. um, I will say, though, that this movie I thought was really well done. I mean, it was so handsomely made. I mean, if I could describe this movie, I think I would describe the way that Reynolds, works on one of his dresses. The movie is silky, it's elegant, it's got a focused discipline, and, there's a lot of attention to lavish detail, costumes and sets. I mean, everything is just meticulous, just like one of his couture dresses. See how I did there? And I'm happy to say that the movie got nominated for 6 Oscars. One for Best Picture, Natch, and one for actor Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, come on, the guy can do no wrong. I mean, he's a masterful actor, and he's just so well in this role that you believe you want to love him and hate him at the same time. And there was an Oscar for supporting actress for Leslie Manville. I don't know about that one. I mean, she did a good job. I don't know if it was Oscar worthy, but she's a good actress anyway. And one for costume design, because duh, when you make a movie about making dresses, of course you're going to get nominated for costume design. That's a given. and one for musical score. I agree with that. The musical score really helped elevate this movie, like really added to it. I can see that one. The only Oscar I wasn't too pleased with is Best Director Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, he's a great director. I just thought that there was a more deserving director in the a director of the next film I will review, Call Me by Your Name. I'll talk about that soon in the next video. But overall, I mean, this movie was really great. I mean, it's handsomely made, and the costumes and, like I said, everything is made quite done meticulously, and the acting is phenomenal. And overall, I mean, it's also very deeply romantic. I mean, this is the real romantic movie here to see. Overall, I would give it an A minus. The only quibble is it's a little slow. I mean, for people who don't like slow movies, but it captures your attention though, so that's okay. And this is also, Daniel Day-Lewis has made it known that this will probably be his final film role ever. So if you are a fan of Daniel Day-Lewis and you really want to see his last movie ever, then you need to see this movie definitely. Hurry up and go and see this movie while you still can before Oscars come out. I mean, just put on your nice couture dress and go out to the movies. So the last Oscar-nominated film that I will review for you is actually one that I've been anticipating for quite some time, and not only did it meet, but it actually exceeded my expectations. And that film is Call Me by Your Name, rated R. It stars Timothée Chalamet, Armie Hammer, Michael Stuhlbarg, and was directed by the great Italian director Luca Guadagnino. He brought you such films as the Italian film I Am Love and A Bigger Splash. Now, Call Me by Your Name is based on the novel by Andre Aciman. By the way, I read the book, and it's a really good book, so if you haven't read it, you should really read it too. The book and movie are both set in northern Italy in the year 1983. Our main character is a 17-year-old boy named Elio. He's living in with his parents in their Italian villa over the summer. Just one big Jewish Italian-American family. His father, played by Michael Stuhlbarg, is a professor of archaeology, and every summer he brings out a grad student, to spend the summer with them to help him out with his work. And in the opening scene, Elio and the audience are introduced to Oliver. He's a 24-year-old American Jewish grad student played by Armie Hammer. Elio is not too thrilled about this because every summer the grad student gets to have his room and he has to stay in the much smaller guest room. And even though, Elio is intrigued that they're both Jewish, he and Oliver, initially he finds Oliver, he comes off arrogant and pompous in his mind. I mean, every time Elio tries to read or write music or play the piano, Oliver is right there, wanting to talk with him and interrupt him and get in his business, and he finds that off-putting. And meanwhile, Elio is seeing his girlfriend, Marzia, and they're doing, sex stuff, teenage stuff. And over time, the more that Elio and Oliver, talk and get to know one another, slowly but surely, that standoffishness, there's actually a mask. It's masking a low-key, attraction they both have for each other. And they spend more time together. They swim together. They go for walks into town. They take bike rides to the Italian countryside. Beautiful, by the way. And eventually, it comes to a head where Elio confesses what he's feeling to Oliver, and he immediately rebuffs him, no, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. But you know what about attraction and love? You just can't resist it when it's there. And eventually, he gives in too, and they develop this intense, beautiful romance. And you wonder at the time, is everyone, the girlfriend and the parents are going to think? But you don't really care about that because, the romance is just so beautiful and well done. And can I just say, this film was probably one of my favorite films I've seen of all of 2017. That and The Shape of Water, those two films, my favorite. And I'll tell you why. The film, it was overall inspiring, it was erotic, it was heartbreaking, and deeply romantic. Oh my God. It's probably one of the most romantic films I've seen in quite a while. I mean, I was impressed. And I'm really happy to say that this film was nominated for 4 Oscars. Although I must say I wish it had gotten more. It got nominated for Best Picture. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, it's one of the best of the year. Actor Timothée Chalamet, he was just great in the title role. He got a Best Oscar nomination, and well-deserved because he plays this insecure teenager perfectly, and also the film got nominated for Screenplay because they did a great job of adapting the novel, I thought. and one more for Best Song. But I wish I'd gotten more, though. Like I said before in the previous video, Luca Guadagnino deserved a Best Director nomination. I mean, he directed this movie so eloquently and handsomely. I mean, he shows off the Italian countryside so much. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's the kind of cinematography that would make you want to get real estate in the Italian countryside. And it's also directed so handsomely and erotically. I mean, you're surprised by how well like simple things like sitting by a lake or like him reading while he's eyeing him with his eyes. Like it's just done so erotically. Wow. And also, I felt that Armie Hammer and Michael Stuhlbarg both deserved Best Supporting Actor nominations. I mean, I felt they got cheated. Armie Hammer did just as good as his co-star, and yet he got left out. I'm surprised by that. But Michael Stuhlbarg, oh my gosh, as playing the father, I mean, there's a 5-minute monologue that he gives to his son, like toward the end of the film. That's just, it just tugs at the heartstrings. Basically, he tells hints to his son that he and his mom knew about the relationship between he and Oliver, and he's like, starts like, uh-oh. But he's thinking, you know what? What we observed, we don't think we've ever seen a more true love that between you and Oliver that is extremely rare. And I don't think even we have experienced that kind of love with each other. And we totally support any direction you want to go with your life. And at that moment, you just want to cry your eyes out and think, wow, every child deserves to have a father like that. Like Michael Stuhlbarg. I mean, how he did not get nominated for an Oscar. I mean, overall, Ladies and Germs, one of my favorite movies of the year. It's romantic. It's, like I said, erotic. It's beautiful. It's handsomely shot. The cinematography also, they deserved a Oscar nomination for cinematography too. I mean, they didn't get one for that either. I was surprised. But yeah, overall, great romance film. Despite whether some of you might not want to see this because it's that kind of love. But you know what? I didn't see it as like an LGBT film. I saw it as just a film about love. I mean, that's just it. Just about love. Overall, in case you haven't already figured out, my grade for this movie is the top grade I can give, an A. Right up there with Shape of Water, which also got an A, my two favorite films of 2017. And they're both romances, too. So I guess I have a thing for romances this year. And I think everybody needs to see this movie. I mean, all the way down to the end credits. I mean, wait to the end credits when there's a scene that will just shatter what's left of your heart. I know it did for me, and it's still trying to piece itself back together. So if you want to see a movie that's romantic and will just, do things to your heart you never thought possible, well, see it, please. Everybody, please, I beg you, see this one before Oscars. See it. See it. Oh, recap. I love you. Recap, everybody. Phantom Thread, A minus. A beautiful, meticulous, and elegantly made film about a fashion designer and a woman who fall deeply in love with each other despite their many differences. See it, and see it especially if you want to see Daniel Day-Lewis in his final film role ever. And finally, Call Me By Your Name, A, an inspiring, erotic, and heartbreaking film about two young men who find true love with each other. Oh my God, one of the most romantic films in a while, and one of the best films of 2017 too. I'll say it again. Please see this movie. Please. You'll thank me later. And that'll do it for the final Oscar Hopefuls edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody. And stay tuned for the Oscars come late February 2018. I will see you there.